Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this one we're looking at the Kitsound Voice One Alexa smart speaker. So I was a real big fan of the original Echo speaker that Amazon released, but there was always one thing that kind of made me wonder, am I really going to get enough use out of it? And that was the fact it had okay audio, but nothing that was mind-blowing. And since I received an email in my inbox about Kitsound releasing their own Alexa enabled speaker with a much more beefed up audio system, I had to take a look. So there are a lot of specs for the Voice One, but I'm going to just reel over a few of the most important ones. A lot of the rest are actually shown on the box as well if you want to pause and have a little bit of a better look. So of course you've got Amazon Alexa built in. You've also got Spotify voice control, which for me was one of the most important parts of it. You've got left and right stereo pairing, so if you do want to put the two together, you can do. If you want to go for multi-room, you can actually connect 8 of these onto the app, so you can literally use it all around your house, which is just awesome. There's a nice stain-resistant nano coating. If you're going to use it maybe in the kitchen where splashes may occur, you're going to be safe for that. You can go with the line in 3.5, which is always nice to see. The app's available for Android and iOS. The speaker gives you a frequency response from 60 Hz to 20 kHz. So in terms of speakers, that's a pretty low depth of bass, which is nice. You've got Bluetooth range up to 10 meters and then 20 watts of power with 2.5 inch drivers. So I'm not going to waste any time with this one. We're going to get straight into the box, but just be careful when you take off the outer sleeve because it is very, very tight.
That's what she said.
So inside the box you're going to find different power adapters for different countries. Also a nice remote control. We'll get into a bit more depth in that in a second. You've also got a 3.5mm cable for if you want to go for a wired connection. Then also an instruction manual. Also there's a leaflet about Spotify Premium. It is a little bit of a tease as unfortunately it's not a full subscription. So this is a remote. It's actually a lot better build quality than ones we've previously seen with Kitsound products. That was one of the downsides I always pointed out. If anything did have a remote, it always seemed to be a little bit plasticky and tacky. This one's got a nice solid build construction, which is great to see. Now the controls on the remote mimic the ones that are on the actual speaker itself. So if you're across the room, it makes it a lot more convenient for playing back your music. So here's the speaker itself, a lovely grey kind of fleck material that wraps around the sides. Then the controls are obviously the main thing that's going to stick out in this picture. So going from the very top, we've got the mute button which turns off the microphones. So if you want to have a private conversation, just to give you that reassurance that nobody's going to hear it, then just press that and it will turn off the microphones. You also will get an LED illumination to signal that's on as well. Below that you've got a tap to talk button which basically enables Alexa when you press it. This is going to be especially useful if you're playing music at very loud volumes where the microphone may not necessarily actually pick up your voice purely because of the volume that's coming out the speaker. That's a nice easy way to enable it, and then it will cut the music off and then listen to you. So a nice way to be able to interact with Alexa without having to shout. Now on the outside of that tap to talk button you've actually got a nice volume control. Very nice smooth motion on there, giving you nice precise adjustment for volume. So underneath that we've got different options such as the ability to change different mode it plays back from Wi-Fi to Bluetooth to the auxiliary in, and then below a play and pause button for nice convenient use if you're just walking about your room playing music, and then a nice backlit Kitsound logo. Now on the right hand side of the speaker there's a nice little Kitsound logo. It's a nice little rubber label, nice as a way of showing who it's made by, but also a little bit of detail as well. Now as you probably expect there's not a lot going on the bottom of the speaker, but there is a nice rubber base as well, so it's not going to give any vibration or slip on whatever surface you place it on. So here's all the I/O available on the speaker. The left hand side is going to be obviously our power plug where you're going to put your figure of 8 cable. Then you've got USB out if you want to charge one of your phones maybe. I think this would be a great move if you've got a Qi charger next to your device or a wireless dock like maybe the Samsung one. Just plop your phone on there and then you're good to go. Then the line in if you want to use a 3.5mm jack. Then WPS button which enables you to easily connect to your Wi-Fi, and that also doubles as a factory restore should you need to do that. So at the rear of the speaker we've got a nice bass reflex port. We've seen this on the previous Kitsound speakers. This basically just allows it to amplify the sound and give you a little bit more depth. I'll cover the setup of the speaker in a moment, but I wanted to give you an idea what happens when you actually turn the unit on. So you're first greeted with it connecting to the Wi-Fi.
Connected to your Wi-Fi network.
Then you can go ahead and start asking it questions or playing music. Alexa, how old is the moon?
The moon's age is 4,527,000,000 years old.
So literally once you've got the speaker set up on the mobile app, it takes about a minute to start up, but if you're leaving it on all the time, obviously that's not a concern. So going through the different modes of playback, the first one is obviously going to be Wi-Fi when it's connected to your network. Then you can go through to Bluetooth, which will go straight into pairing. Just a simple case of connecting with your device. Then the third one is the auxiliary, which shows up as green. And then pressing that button again will just cycle round to the start. Then when you've got your microphone disabled, it will show up as red. So really nice and simple, but easily distinguishable about what different modes you're on. So being that this has got a more beefed up audio system to the normal Amazon Echo, I'm going to give you an audio sample on how the music sounds. Now this is on the default EQ, but bear in mind they have now announced the EQ on the app, so you can change this a little bit if you want, but here it is as default. I'm going to have to say this, but as usual, the sound can drastically vary depending on how you're listening back to it, YouTube's compression, how I've recorded it, so many different variables. So don't take it as the kind of, full extent of what this can do. It does sound a lot better in person, but it's a classic case of if I don't include a sound sample, people will be asking for it. But if I do, people may say it doesn't sound great. So, there are variables to consider, but that was a sound sample nevertheless. Now the setup process is so simple. I've literally just done it as screenshots because it's really easy. So the first thing you're going to do is just connect into the app from Kitsound. Then you go through to your network and select the voice one once you powered it on. You can set a name for your speaker as well, and I've put it in the office, so obviously that's what I'm going to choose. You can go with a custom name if you like as well, which is good. Then from there you can adjust the volume of the speaker itself. You can also do that by saying Alexa volume 7 for example. And then you've also got the option to do the EQ, which is always handy to have. But then the majority of the other settings you're going to be doing via the actual Alexa app from Amazon. So you've got all your settings for your Spotify, if you want to use Deezer, Amazon Music, all of the things like that are going to be done on the actual Alexa app. Then it will just link back to the Kitsound app as well. After you've linked your Spotify account, for example, you could say Alexa, play Alone by Marshmello on Spotify, and it will then go ahead and do so. It's ever so simple to do. Before I go off with this part, you may think, well, surely there's more to it than that. Do you not want to show more things? To be honest, I never used it. Once I did the initial setup via the Kitsound app, then on Alexa to set up the kind of voice I wanted to use, for example, to change it to British, that was literally all I used it for. Everything's controllable via your voice, which, ease of use is the primary function for this. Now, one thing you might like to do is go into the software to enable the automatic firmware updates, for example. That's when I found the EQ was available, so that was maybe one exception that I did go into the app. Another scenario could be if you buy another speaker later on and you want to set up a left and right channel, or if you're setting up more than one room. But apart from that, you may find you never need to use the app again. But I'd say that's a plus because it just shows the amount of features that you can do just by your voice. So we've had a look at the speaker itself, had a look at the software and the setup. Now it's time to give you my conclusion. Now the microphones on the speaker, there are actually 2 on this compared to the 7 I believe on the actual Amazon Echo. And the fact it doesn't have as many microphones does mean it is sluggish to respond sometimes. Sometimes it wouldn't even pick up commands at all, which was a little bit of a shame. But then again, comparing the amount of microphones on both devices, you can see why it may not pick up in every scenario. Generally speaking though, about 95% of the time it would pick up your command. I do like the easy use going between the different modes. One thing I would like to see though is the ability to use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth together, because maybe you might want to play from maybe a friend's phone but still use the Amazon Alexa functionality. Once you switch over to Bluetooth, it totally eliminates any use for voice control, which is a shame. I'm sure that's something they could possibly add via the firmware updates though, so hopefully that's something we'll see in the future. My favourite feature without doubt is Spotify playback. I can just step into the office, shout at it to play a song, and then it will do so. Setting the volume control on there is good as well. So for me, that's probably my favourite option. Then that brings me into the sound from the speaker as well. Generally speaking, the bass from the speaker is very nice, which is always a good plus for me as I'm quite a bass head. The highs do pretty well, but the mids are kind of a little bit muddy. It can muddle sound together, which is a little bit of a shame. The EQ can compensate a little bit, but I would like to see more precise EQ control on the actual app. That may help bring up the muddiness a little bit from the mids. Then you can also counter with some highs as well to kind of give it a little bit more of a better sound profile. But for a standalone speaker, I think it's okay, but it certainly can't replace speakers. General build quality is okay. It's pretty heavy and the top of the speaker seems rather plasticky. It would be nice if they added the fabric on top as well, just to give it a little bit more of a premium feel. Now the current price of this on Amazon is 65 quid, which I think is an absolute bargain, so I would recommend it for that price. Just I really hope they take all of my kind of thoughts into consideration, along with any others that people may have had, and they make a V2, because I think if they can improve those certain aspects, I do think they could make an absolute Echo killer. So thank you for watching this video guys. If there's anything you want to know in a bit more detail, please leave it in the comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll put a link in the description if you want to get one for yourself. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thank you for Kitsound for sending this out for me to review. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you all in the next one.
The moon's age is 4,527,000,000 years old.
Me.